Hey everyone, I'm back with another review. Today I thought I'd look at some of the classic Star Wars Marvel books that I picked up over the last couple weeks. My local comic book store got a few of them in. Some pretty interesting ones in there. I mainly want to focus on the two movie adaptation books, which are going to be on the top here, because the other ones are part of a series. They don't really make a lot of sense in context without having the surrounding books in that arc. Kind of like the new Marvel Star Wars. You can't just pick up an issue and start reading in the middle of an arc because you'll have absolutely no idea, even though it has a little synopsis at the beginning. It still really won't make a lot of sense to you. So anyway, this first one here is the adaptation of Empire Strikes Back. And they actually kind of just melded it into the regular Star Wars series. So technically it's issue 42 of the original run of Star Wars comics. What's really interesting about this is it does follow the movie pretty closely, but it was obviously done at a time when, there was an earlier draft of the script. Can't really see it here, but Yoda appears a little bit taller. He's got kind of like skinny legs instead of, his stubby little green legs that he has in the movie. He's got a pipe, things like that. The slug is a little different. It doesn't come out of the asteroid, it sort of just sticks there. There's a little bit of different dialogue in there. And so by the ads here. The scenes where Luke finds out that this is Yoda are a little bit different. Instead of the classic, close up on Yoda's face where he says, Luke says, "I'm not afraid," and he says, "You will be, you will be." Well, it just flicks to the outside of his hut when it says that, and it looks all misty and scary. Not quite as disturbing or impactful, I think, than the scene we got in the movie. But what's really interesting are these scenes here, which were cut scenes from The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke's training. There's a part with a rod, and Yoda sort of floats the rod around, and Luke has to try to cut it with his lightsaber while he's blindfolded. And then there's stuff with the training droid, and Luke levitating rocks and all that sort of stuff. The training droid part wasn't in the movie at all. They cut all the lightsaber stuff out in the training sections, actually, which I thought was pretty interesting. But then we get kind of the same thing, only we go to the bounty hunter spot, and Boba Fett actually has dialogue in this scene where he's mostly silent in the movie. And he says stuff like, "Given a free hand, I've never disappointed anyone, except those who hope to escape me." And stuff like that. It's kind of cool, but nowhere near as impactful as him just being mostly silent, saying stuff like, "as you wish," and stuff like that. Or, I can't do an Australian accent, or a New Zealand accent, but, yeah. Anyway, so it's mostly the same after that. Some cool artwork previews for some ads. I like the old the artwork previews for upcoming issues. They're pretty cool. Now this comic's in terrible condition. I didn't pay very much for it though. Next up, I got a Return of the Jedi adaptation. This one they actually split from the main series, and it was like a 4-issue. So this is the last issue. This is the ending, basically. And it's a little different. It's mostly the same. Not quite as drastically different in certain parts. For one thing, I'll just flip into it here. The duel's a little bit different. With Vader and Luke. It's cool artwork there. When Vader pushes him down when he pushes Vader down the stairs, and he's talking to him, he actually throws the lightsaber away at that point and then grabs it again, according to the text. And then and they're having their little discussion about Leia up on the bridge, instead of in the shadows like it is in the movie, I don't think it's as impactful. So it was obviously designed off of an early script. But what I was really interested in is when Vader picks the Emperor up to throw him off of the bridge or into the pit or whatever, his lightning actually catches Vader on fire and subsequently catches the Emperor on fire as well. And he goes flaming down and then he explodes. It's all in text here except for the flaming body part, which I thought was kind of interesting. So, it's a little different, but not too much different. What's really cool about this one is at the end, we get these cool little pin-up posters that they put in. Some really good, neat artwork from Marvel artists back then. There's a couple more there. Look at that. The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. Now, obviously this book's degraded a little bit. This was probably a lot more red in its original, but it's faded over time. Really cool looking poster though. Excuse me, I had to take a drink there. So, then I just got a bunch of random issues. So, this is actually issue 15. So it's early in the run. It's 1978, I believe it said it was. There's some really interesting designs. They were doing some interesting stuff back then. As you can see, it's a little bit more 70s inclined, especially some of the costume design and stuff like that. This is a story revolving around pirates and stuff like that. There's like an actual ship with a city on it, but then they also have, you know, oh my gosh, so many ads. They actually have starships and stuff like that. I was interested to see there was like a TIE bomber variant that early. So they must have been working on Empire at the time and like feeding them sketches of some of the upcoming craft. The pirate ship looks like a Star Destroyer, but it's not an Imperial Star Destroyer. It's their ship. So it just happens to follow that triangular design, probably because they were trying to keep it consistent. The artwork's all pretty good. It's a little different, but at least it's hand-drawn, unlike some of the newer stuff. And this one was a little weird one. This was issue 38. It had to do with this techno-organic ship. And there's some weird stuff going on in here, but really cool, very monochromatic almost in certain spots. Artwork, lots of action, especially with this droid with the lightsaber. It's not really explaining why he has a lightsaber, he just does. They're in like an organic ship, and but it's also technological at the same time. The ship has merged with the pilot somehow. He explains it all in his backstory. There was like a war and a plague or something like that. Anyway, he helps them out in the end. Some pretty cool artwork. This one is issue 99, so this is post Return of the Jedi. And there's some really weird design work in this one, I thought. But nonetheless, it's pretty neat. I like the fact that they're using Endor as a base. They're bringing in like other races and cultures like Mandalorians into the story. There's these red-skinned people. There's these weird bug-eye people that look like anime characters. This is a very strange storyline. Very strange. But nonetheless, like, I don't really know exactly what's happening here because it's in the middle of an arc. But you can see some of the Eastern influences coming into the artwork at this point. This would have been after Return of the Jedi, so it would have been around like 84, 85, I believe. And yeah, so there's a little bit of that going on. Let's see when it was released here. This one was 85. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I like some of the artwork, and what I really like about these books is that monochromatic look that they have in some of the panels where it's not quite black and white, but they use these nice color washes, and it changes color very frequently. It's a really nice effect for something like Star Wars, which is really visually appealing. They've always had that sort of use of color and shadow and light and stuff like that in all of the movies, so Very, very interesting uses of shading and whatnot in this. So some good stuff. Like, I'm glad I picked these up. They weren't all that expensive. And they were just going to sit in the bin because they're in rough shape. Nobody's going to collect these or anything. I just wanted them to look at and read and sort of like see what the old series was like. Because the new one's kind of abysmal in certain cases, unfortunately. There's some hidden gems in it. And I do buy the issues, so I'm obviously seeing some sort of worth in it. Looks like I got one more book here. Let's see what that is. Oh God. Oh. Oh no. How'd this get into the pile? Oh no. Well, that's not going to be included in this video. I don't know how that got in there, guys. I don't even remember getting it in the mail. I think it came in like a bag or something. Anyway, let's get back to the goods here. So that is 1970s, 1980s Marvel Star Wars in a very brief nutshell. There's a lot of issues of it out there. I just kind of wanted to go over some of the ones that I've been picking up here and there at my local comic shop. Well, I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.